Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our January webinar Wednesdays with SMP. We're really glad to have you all joining us this morning. My name is Sunny Lawless, and I'm the volunteer coordinator for our SMP programs, and I'm going to be your host for this morning. And presenting for us today will be Jose Pinto. He's one of our community outreach specialists in Georgia, and Johnetta Red, who is our complex interaction specialist for all three states. So today for this January installment, you're going to get to know your Senior Medicare Patrol. During the presentation, you're welcome to type any questions that you might have into the chat, but we're going to hold those until the end when we'll open it up for question and answer. And there will be a prize drawing at the end of today's presentation. You did need to be registered to attend prior to 10:15 a.m. this morning. So everyone who is registered by then, your name is going to be thrown onto the prize wheel, and you will have your option to win either a $25 Amazon or Walmart gift card. Before we get started with today's presentation, I do need to let you know that this project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, Department of Health and Human Services as part of a financial assistance award with 100% funding by ACL and HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of, nor are an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government. Before we get started with the presentation, we do have a quick poll for you today. And today's polling question is, before today, have you ever attended an SMP presentation? So you can answer yes or no, and I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. And I'll give everyone a few seconds to respond. So before today, have you ever attended a Senior Medicare Patrol presentation? Just a few more seconds. It looks like we have about 50% have voted. All right, well, it looks like about 60% have attended a presentation before and about 40 have not. So welcome to those new folks and those who have heard about our program before. Hopefully we'll share some information that you haven't heard. And for those of you who are new, we hope you enjoy and learn more about our program. All right, so before I turn things over to Jose, I do want to give some background information on SMP. So who is Senior Medicare Patrol? Well, SMPs are grant-funded projects of the U.S. Government of Health and Human Services and the Administration for Community Living. All SMP grantees have a shared national identity through a national program name and logo. Every state has its own Senior Medicare Patrol program. So in Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi, SMP is sponsored by AdviseWell. And our mission is to empower and assist Medicare beneficiaries, their families and caregivers to prevent, detect, and report healthcare fraud, errors, and abuse. And we do that through outreach, counseling, and education. I'm now going to turn things over to Jose, who will give you some information on what SMPs do. Jose?
Thank you, Sunny. Greatly appreciate it. What do SMPs do? We conduct outreach and education by doing presentations to groups, exhibited events, work one-on-one with Medicare beneficiaries. We also receive beneficiary complaints. We help to determine if fraud, errors, or abuse is suspected. If needed, work with providers on the beneficiary's behalf and referrals to the appropriate state and federal agencies for further investigation. Next slide. We also engage volunteers. That's a real fun part of our job. In Georgia, we have Mark, Michael and Lynn, and Nathan, who is another Georgia SMP. We go out and we attend community events with our volunteers. We participate in monthly webinars and other activities, and we receive training to give presentations. Our volunteers are a big part of our what SMPs do. They help us amplify our message and make sure that it's just not four of us running around the state trying to get things done. we have 8 or 9 of us running around the state and getting things done. So we greatly appreciate our volunteers. If any of them are in attendance right now, thank you so much for what you do. Next, please. In Georgia, as I mentioned, there's Nathan. We have someone new, Brenda Garrett, who'll be starting soon. Shamar Lewis, or Shay, and me, Jose Pinto. That's a touched up photo of me, by the way. But anyways, it's my good side. So next, Louisiana, we have Yolandra Moody and Sandra Coburn. We all got to meet Sandra last week, and she was a lot of fun. Yolandra is always wonderful at what she does in Louisiana. She's a great writer and gets out in the community and really puts her feet on the ground and talks to people. Next. In Mississippi, we have Danae Brown and Jeanette Ringo, who just started at SMP and are wonderful additions. We were able to meet them last week and really enjoyed what they brought to the table. And hopefully when they're out in your community in Mississippi, you can engage with them at a tabling event or any other place that you may see them. Also, Danielle Gilroy, who has been with SMP for years and years and years, is a wonderful outreach person on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Next. And of course, there's our volunteers. Guys, I can't tell you enough about how important volunteers are to SMP. As you know, a lot of seniors enjoy hearing from their own peers. You can tell by our pictures, some of us, we run the whole age spectrum. So it's really important that we have people that are 55 plus come out and volunteer to get the word out to other people in their age group. Not that a young person couldn't do it, but we feel that a lot of times somebody who is also a senior or somebody that is aging well may enjoy speaking to someone their own age and getting advice about what SMP does. Next, please. In 2022, we had 5,346 active team members, 18,274 group outreach and education events, and we reached over 1 million people. We had $153,812 in expected Medicare recoveries, $31,122 in cost avoidance, and $74,000 savings to beneficiaries. And guys, some of you that have attended some of our seminars know that it is a billion-dollar problem for Medicare fraud. And some say it could be more. This seems like not a lot of money recovered, but it is. It takes a long time. It's a hard road to go down to try and get people to recoup money. And it's important that you guys do your part when you come to one of our seminars and when we educate you to use that 1-877 number and talk and call anytime you feel that you're having a problem with your Medicare. Next. Did you know Medicare losses $60 to $90 billion every year due to fraud errors and abuse? 60 to billion. Think about that, guys. I know the numbers on the last page didn't seem like a lot, but it is. Every little bit helps, especially when it's taxpayer money. Next, please. Now we're going to talk about fraud versus abuse. Next. Fraud. What is it? It assumes criminal intent. All right. Knowingly and willfully executing or attempting to execute a scheme or ploy to defraud the Medicare program or obtain information by means of false pretenses, deception, or misrepresentation in order to receive inappropriate payments from the Medicare program. Wow, that's a mouthful. Guys, it's all about intent. All right. A lot of times when you get these phone calls, and hopefully you don't pick up your phone, but when you do get one of those phone calls, there's these people may be trying to sell you something that they know is not covered by Medicare. That could be criminal intent. All right. They know that they are trying to get money from you for a product that is not covered by Medicare. But guys, fraud is can be devastating. There are financial issues, there are emotional issues. It's very tough to have to deal with this. The first thing that I like to tell a lot of people that I talk to when we're discussing fraud is do not be embarrassed. Do not think you are the only person that has ever been defrauded by somebody, that has ever lost money to someone, or has ever been sold a product that was, told covered by Medicare and really wasn't.
Jose, I think we lost you again. Jonetta, are you hearing him?
No, I can't hear him,
No.
but he's still talking.
Okay. Jose, you can maybe log off and log back on, and I'll just go ahead and pick up on the next slide, and you can join us when you can get your audio back. All right, so Jose just talked about what is what is fraud. So now we're going to talk about what is abuse. Well, Medicare abuse involves payment for items or services when there's no legal entitlement to that payment, and the provider has not knowingly and intentionally misrepresented the facts to obtain payment. Medicare abuse is further defined as incidents or practices by providers that are inconsistent with accepted sound medical, business, or physical practices. Now, these practices may directly or indirectly result in unnecessary costs to the program, improper payment, or payment for services that fail to meet professionally recognized standards of care or that are medically unnecessary. And CMS includes in this definition billing Medicare for services that are not covered or are not correctly coded. So those are the differences between fraud and abuse. So now we're going to look at some of the common examples of Medicare fraud. Billing for services or supplies that were not provided, providing unsolicited supplies to beneficiaries, misrepresenting a diagnosis, a beneficiary's identity, the service provided, or other facts to justify payment. And another one is prescribing or providing excessive or unnecessary tests and services. Other examples include offering or receiving kickbacks in exchange for using your Medicare number, or requesting Medicare numbers at an educational presentation or in an unsolicited phone call. So how can all of this affect Medicare beneficiaries? Well, it has a profound impact on beneficiaries. One of the ways is medical identity theft. This is theft that occurs when a beneficiary's Medicare number is misused, either by a provider, a supplier, or maybe someone posing as the real beneficiary in order to receive medical care. Those Medicare numbers are actually considered compromised, and a beneficiary whose number is compromised may be affected forever by false claims against his or her Medicare number. Another way is the health impact. So receiving health care from a fraudulent provider can mean that the quality of care is poor, the intervention may not be medically necessary, or worse, the intervention is actually harmful to the beneficiary. And then a beneficiary may later receive improper medical treatment from legitimate providers because of the inaccurate medical records that contain false diagnosis. Your medical record could show treatments that never actually occurred, misinformation about allergies. It could also show incorrect lab results. And additionally, because of inaccurate or fraudulent claims to Medicare, beneficiaries could be denied Medicare benefits. And for example, some services have limits. So if Medicare thinks that you've already received one service, it's already been provided to you, when you actually go and need that service, they're going to deny payment because their records already show you have that service. And another way is personal financial losses. Medicare fraud, errors, and abuse can all result in higher out-of-pocket costs for beneficiaries. That means copays go up for healthcare services that were never provided, that were excessive or medically unnecessary. And beneficiaries may also find themselves stuck with bills for services from providers who should have billed Medicare, but instead billed the beneficiary for the entire cost of that service. So Medicare fraud affects everyone, not just Medicare beneficiaries, but these are just some of the ways: medical identity theft, the health impact, and personal financial losses um, definitely impact our Medicare beneficiaries when fraud or abuse occurs. So now I'm going to turn things over to Johnetta, who is going to discuss the 3 keys to success in stopping healthcare fraud, waste, and abuse. And those are going to be prevent, detect, and report. Johnetta?
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you too, Jose. So I'll be going over the 3 keys in preventing healthcare fraud, waste, and abuse. So what are those 3 keys to success, you ask? A drum roll, please. They are prevent, detect, and report. So the first key, next slide. The first key is that we're going to speak about is prevent. So we have all heard this before, but protecting your personal information is your best defense against healthcare fraud and abuse. We always ask you to treat your Medicare number and your Social Security number like your credit card. Never give these numbers to a stranger. And remember, Medicare won't call to ask you for your Medicare number. And don't carry your Medicare card unless you're going to the doctor for a doctor's appointment. Also, keep a record of your medical visits, your medical tests, and any medical procedures. And you can do this with a healthcare journal or a calendar. Next slide. The second key is detect. Just knowing how to spot suspicious activity can help you stop healthcare fraud and abuse in its tracks. Remember, your Medicare summary notice is also known as an MSN, or your explanation of benefits is also known as an EOB from your insurance company. We want you to review it. Your Medicare summary notice is mailed to you by Medicare every 3 months. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you will receive an explanation of benefits after you receive healthcare services. These notices have a written statement on them, and the statement is going to say, this is not a bill. So don't just throw it away or discard it without reading it. Instead, we want you to look for charges and compare it. We want you to compare your statement to your personal records and look for charges for something that you didn't get. Look for billing for the same services or supplies twice. And also look for services that were not ordered by your doctor. Next slide. The third and final key is report. If you suspect you have been a target of fraud, report it. This is going to help you and others at risk from becoming risk of any type of healthcare scams. So here are some steps to report suspicious behavior. You have to report, if you receive a suspicious call, don't give out any personal information. Report the call immediately to SMP. If you have questions about your Medicare statement, call your healthcare provider or call your plan. If you're not comfortable calling your provider, or if you're not satisfied with the response, you can call SMP. Next slide. So now you may be wondering how you can help and how you can get involved. Senior Medicare Patrol is always looking for civic-minded individuals to join our fight against Medicare fraud. The benefits of volunteering for our program include gaining the satisfaction of participating in a national effort to empower members of your own community to prevent, detect, and report healthcare fraud, errors, and abuse. Our volunteers receive training on the basics of Medicare and on healthcare errors that include fraud, abuse, and scams. In addition to giving presentations and attending community events, our volunteers also participate in a bi-weekly webinar and various training opportunities throughout the year. We also host a volunteer appreciation event in the month of April for the National Volunteer Week. Volunteering for the SMP program is extremely flexible and is done on an as-needed basis. Volunteers are offered opportunities and have the option to decline if they are not available. They determine how often they would like to participate. We also want to mention that this is a great volunteering opportunity for couples, calling all those couples out there. In the past, we've had couples to team up to volunteer to give presentations and attend community events. If you think volunteering for the program is something you might be interested in, give us a call at our toll-free number. The number is 877-272-8720. We would be more than happy to send you one of our volunteer information packets and answer any questions you may have about the process. Next slide. As mentioned in the previous slide, we have a toll-free number. The number is 877-272-8720. You can also visit our website. We have a website. It is www.stopmedicarefraud.org for additional information about our program. We would like to encourage you to scan the QR code using your camera on your cell phone. This will guide you to our social media platforms. We have Facebook for the state of Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi. We also have a Facebook page in Spanish for our Spanish-speaking individuals. We also have YouTube and our podcast, Sip and Learn with SMP. And that podcast you can find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Next slide.
All right, thank you, Johnetta, and thank you, Jose. I'm sorry, I apologize for the technical difficulties that we had. You know, these things never happen when we do the test runs a day or two before, but you know, that's technology for you. So coming up next month, our February installment of Webinar Wednesdays is going to be using your MSN or EOB to fight fraud. So we're going to talk about the Medicare summary notice and the explanation of benefits that you all receive from Medicare or your Medicare Advantage plan, and how you can use those to spot fraud and how to fight it and report it. So that's going to be on Wednesday, February 28th at the same time, 10:30 a.m. Central Time. We hope you'll be able to join us then. All right, so now it is time for our prize drawing. And as I mentioned, everyone who registered prior to 10:15 a.m. today has been entered for a chance to win, and you must be present to win. And you will have your option to receive either a $25 Walmart or Amazon e-gift card. And I will reach out to the winner of that card a little bit later today to find out which one you choose. Let me go ahead and get our prize wheel up, and we will go ahead and give it a spin. All right, it looks like Miss Gwen, and I'm not seeing her here. All right, so let's give it another spin. All right, let's look. Miss Eleanor Vincent, and I don't see her in attendance. So maybe third time's a charm. Okay, and Miss Peggy is not here today. Oh my goodness, Miss Gloria is not here either. All right, we're getting down to the ones who are here. So let's see. All right, Kevin. Kevin is here. So congratulations, Kevin. I will reach out to you later today to find out which card you would like to choose. Okay, let's get back to the slides. There we go. All right, so before we wrap up the presentations today, I do want to open it up to question and answer. So if you have a question you'd like to ask about the material that we shared today, please raise your hand and I will unmute your line and you can ask the question. It looks like, let's see, I'll check the chat real quick while everyone thinks of a question. Let's see. All right, I'm not seeing any chat questions coming in, and I don't see any hands raised. So what we'll do is I did share a link to a short survey in the chat, but I'm also going to send that to you in a thank you email after we wrap up today. But we would really appreciate it if you would take some time to fill out that survey and let us know how we did today. And this is going to conclude our presentation on getting to know your Senior Medicare Patrol. Like I said, I will be sending an email after the webinar with a link to a short survey. And it just lets the Administration for Community Living know how we did. And I will be reaching out to our prize drawing winner also to find out about that gift card. We really appreciate you joining us today. Thanks again and take care, everyone.